America is waking up, and I need you to see what I'm seeing right now. Millions flooding the streets. San Francisco, Cleveland, Minneapolis, Los Angeles. They're demanding Trump's arrest, chanting, "Lock him up," screaming for impeachment. Subscribe now, because what I'm about to expose ends Trump. Listen, 3 million Epstein pages leaked proving Trump trafficked children. DOJ hiding 3 million more. Lutnick lied about Epstein. Musk begged for island access. Warsh attended Epstein's sex parties. Trump's name in victim diaries describing child rape. DOJ deleted these files. I fought to restore them. And while evidence mounts, Trump's suing IRS for $10 billion, fabricating inflation data, building a 100,000-seat UFC stadium while you can't afford food. I'm watching a criminal regime destroy evidence while America burns. I'll show you how deep this goes. I've covered protests my entire career. Anti-war demonstrations, Occupy Wall Street, Black Lives Matter, Women's March. I've seen them all. I've never seen anything like this. San Francisco, tens of thousands blocking every major street, demanding ICE abolition and Trump's impeachment. The entire financial district shut down, not by police, by citizens refusing to move until Trump is arrested. Cleveland, mass demonstrations calling Trump a lawless gang leader who belongs in prison. I'm talking nurses in scrubs, teachers with students, factory workers still in their uniforms. These aren't professional activists. These are people who've never protested before, and they're furious. Minneapolis, the same park where federal agents gas families. Those families are back angrier, more organized, and they brought thousands more. I watched elderly grandmothers linking arms with teenagers, all chanting the same thing: lock him up. Los Angeles, unprecedented turnout I've never witnessed in my career. Protesters calling this Trump's fascist regime and demanding its immediate end. Not reform, not investigation. And here's what should terrify Trump. These aren't fringe radicals. I talk to them. Nurses, teachers, veterans, parents, regular Americans who've reached their breaking point. They're chanting, abolish ICE. Impeach Trump, lock him up. You know what makes this different from every other protest movement I've covered? No leaders, no organization. No one to infiltrate, no spokesperson to discredit, just millions of Americans who independently decided they're done. Former protest organizer told me off the record this isn't being organized by Democrats or activist groups. This is spontaneous rage. People are done. They want Trump in prison, and they're not stopping until he is. We've never seen anything like this. When millions of Americans flood the streets demanding your arrest, you're not a president, you're a dictator facing revolution. Here's what Trump tried to hide, and I mean literally tried to delete from existence. 3 million pages of Epstein documents were released by courts. They detailed child sex trafficking at Mar-a-Lago, Trump's direct participation, and decades of systematic abuse. But Trump's DOJ is holding 3 million additional pages in classified storage, and they deleted the released files from the Justice Department website. Let me say that again. The United States Department of Justice deleted court documents from government servers to protect the president from pedophilia charges. Trump literally tried to erase evidence from government records, and we caught him doing it. So what's in those 3 million pages that Trump tried to delete? Howard Lutnick, Trump's Commerce Secretary, lied under oath about never contacting Epstein. The documents prove he contacted Epstein repeatedly over years. Phone records, meeting logs, email correspondence, all documented, all lied about. Elon Musk, Trump's so-called efficiency czar, appears in files expressing explicit desire to visit Epstein's island. Multiple entries, multiple years. Documented requests asking Epstein for access to the island and the parties. Kevin Warsh, Trump's nominee for Federal Reserve Chair, attended Epstein's elite parties in St. Bart's where underage girls were trafficked for wealthy men. Guest lists, flight manifests, witness statements, all there. And Trump himself, victim diary entries describe sexual abuse by Donald Trump, not allegations from anonymous sources. Sworn testimony from identified victims describing Trump sexually abusing minors. Multiple incidents, multiple victims, corroborated by witnesses and documentation. This isn't conspiracy theory from some fringe website. These are sealed court documents that were supposed to remain sealed forever until they leaked. Then Trump's DOJ deleted them from government servers. Former federal prosecutor told me when a sitting president uses Justice Department resources to delete federal court records documenting his participation in child sex trafficking, that's not executive privilege, that's obstruction of justice, evidence destruction, and proof of guilt. Innocent people don't delete evidence. Criminals do. Trump tried to erase proof he raped children. We got it back. Now he's desperately trying to bury it with every distraction imaginable. Don Lemon, former CNN anchor, now independent journalist, was arrested by federal agents while covering Minneapolis protests. Georgia Ford independent reporter arrested while filming federal agents assaulting protesters. They weren't rioting, they weren't violent, they weren't obstructing, they were doing journalism, recording what happened, documenting government actions, and Trump's regime arrested them for it. This is First Amendment annihilation. The Constitution explicitly protects press freedom. The government cannot arrest journalists for covering protests. That's not debatable. It's constitutional law. But Trump doesn't care because he's operating completely outside the Constitution now. ACLU issued an emergency statement. Arresting journalists covering protests is a direct assault on the First Amendment and a hallmark of authoritarian regimes. This is what happens in Belarus, in Myanmar, in Russia, not in America, but it's happening now. And I'm telling you what happens next because I've studied authoritarian regimes my entire career. They'll arrest more journalists. They'll fabricate charges inciting riot, interfering with police, public safety threat. They'll normalize arresting anyone who documents government violence. Within months, independent journalism will be criminalized. If you can arrest journalists for filming protests, you don't have a First Amendment, you have state propaganda where only approved voices can speak. How does it feel watching America become the dictatorship we used to condemn? Trump is suing the IRS, the federal tax collection agency, for $10 billion because his tax returns leaked in 2016, proving he paid zero federal taxes for years while claiming to be a billionaire. Let me break down this insanity. Trump is president. He controls the government. He's suing the government. He controls to extort $10 billion from taxpayers for revealing he's a tax fraud. His lawsuit claims the leak violated his privacy and damaged his reputation. His reputation? Everyone already knew he was a fraud. The leak just confirmed it with documentation. Tax attorney I spoke with, this lawsuit is frivolous extortion masquerading as litigation. You cannot sue the government for exposing your tax crimes. But Trump controls the DOJ that would normally fight this case. So he's essentially suing himself to funnel $10 billion in taxpayer money into his personal accounts. This isn't a lawsuit. This is organized crime using federal courts to extort the American people. Trump committed tax fraud, got exposed, and now wants you to pay him $10 billion for catching him. And he thinks you're too stupid to realize what he's doing. Trump fired senior officials at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, career economists with decades of experience, and replaced them with political loyalists to fabricate inflation numbers. These weren't partisan appointments. These were nonpartisan statisticians whose job is reporting accurate economic data regardless of politics. They reported 3% inflation, the truth based on actual price data. Trump fired them and installed hacks who will report whatever number he demands. This is Soviet-level data manipulation. This is what Stalin did when agricultural production collapsed. He just had statisticians report fake numbers showing record harvests while people starved. Economist Paul Krugman wrote, when a president fires nonpartisan statisticians to install political operatives who fabricate inflation data, you're no longer in a market economy with free information. You're in a command economy where the state dictates reality and criminalizes truth. And here's why this matters beyond just dishonesty. The Federal Reserve sets interest rates based on inflation data. If inflation data is fabricated, the Fed will set wrong interest rates. That corrupts the entire economy. Businesses make hiring and investment decisions based on economic indicators. If those are fabricated, businesses make wrong decisions that destroy jobs and wealth. Families plan budgets based on inflation expectations. If the government lies about inflation, families make wrong financial decisions that can ruin them. When the government fabricates economic data, the entire economy operates on lies. And when reality eventually crashes through the propaganda, the damage is catastrophic. Trump is creating fake economic numbers so you don't realize his policies are destroying you until it's too late. While Americans struggle to afford rent, groceries, and healthcare, Trump announced plans for a 100,000-seat stadium in front of the White House to host UFC cage fights. Not a hospital, not affordable housing, not infrastructure to create jobs. A private entertainment venue for violent spectacle on the National Mall. This is Nero fiddling while Rome burns. This is a malignant narcissist building monuments to himself while his subjects starve. Former White House staffer told me Trump spends hours obsessing over this stadium seating capacity, VIP boxes, sightlines. He has architects drawing renderings while Americans are choosing between rent and food. He doesn't care about their suffering. He never cared. This is who he is. The stadium would cost an estimated $8 billion money that could house every homeless veteran in America, or fund school lunches for every child, or provide health care to millions. But Trump wants a Roman Colosseum for cage fighting because he's a Roman emperor in his own mind, and you're peasants whose suffering exists to amuse him. Trump wants gladiator fights on the National Mall while Americans die from lack of health care, and he thinks you're too distracted to notice. Bruce Springsteen, the boss, American icon, released The Streets of Minneapolis, a protest song explicitly supporting demonstrators and condemning ICE violence. When Bruce Springsteen writes protest music against you, you've lost American culture. You've lost the heartland. You've lost the soul of the country. But here's the crack in Trump's regime that signals collapse. Republican Senator Tom Tillis announced he will block Trump's Federal Reserve Chair nomination until Trump drops the criminal investigation into Jerome Powell. A Republican senator is openly defying Trump. That's not disagreement. That's fracture. That's the beginning of regime collapse. Tillis knows the Epstein files are destroying Trump. He knows the protests are growing. He knows Trump's approval is collapsing. So he's positioning for post-Trump Republican politics by breaking with Trump now while he still can. And when one Republican breaks ranks, others will follow. That's how authoritarian regimes collapse, not all at once, but through cascading defections as loyalists realize the dictator is finished and scramble to save themselves. When your own party starts blocking your nominations and defying your orders, you're not a powerful president, you're a wounded dictator watching your empire crumble in real time. This is regime collapse in real time. And I'm watching it accelerate. Trump tried to delete Epstein evidence, we got it back. Trump tried to silence protesters, millions more joined the streets. Trump tried to control media, independent journalists are multiplying. Trump tried to fabricate economic data. Economists are exposing the lies. Trump tried to maintain Republican unity. His own party is fracturing. The regime is disintegrating. The protests are growing. The evidence is mounting. The defections are beginning, and Trump knows it. That's why he's desperately building distractions, UFC stadiums, frivolous lawsuits, fake economic data. He's trying to create so much noise that Americans don't see the regime collapsing around him. But we see it, we're documenting it, and we're not stopping until Trump is in prison where he belongs. I'm telling you right now, this is the beginning of the end. Trump's regime is fracturing, the protests won't stop, the evidence keeps leaking, Republicans are abandoning ship. The collapse is accelerating. Subscribe if you want to watch Trump's empire burn in real time. Drop a green heart if you're ready for his arrest, because it's coming. Not someday, not eventually, but soon. See you next time.